Hello, kids. Welcome to The Last Word. This is the We Didn't Have Much Time to Write This Script edition. I'm Tor Thorson, scraping by the skin of my teeth.
And I'm Tim Surrett, feeling a bit like that cat from the Hang In There Baby posters. Today was a busy week, I think. I don't really know. It was kind of a blur to me.
Could it have something to do with those two words that always sound great at the time but terrible the next day?
What words were those?
Open bar.
Yeah, you are wise beyond your years, Thorson. On with the news. Today in our first story,
Dude, we only have one camera.
What happened to the extra cameras? I thought we were taking it to the next level.
Weren't you in the meeting last week?
Meeting? No.
I don't remember it either. But apparently there was a vote. Either upgrade the budget of this show or get a new DDR machine in the kitchen. And the vote was 45-0.
Ah, so that's why Ryan Davis's calves look oh so shapely.
Don't forget the gams and that Greg Kasavan.
Oh, how could I? Anywho, more details on Microsoft's rumored handheld flew about this week, and the news is it will be called Argo and Zune, and it will play games and it won't play games. See, the thing is, we don't really know. On Monday, an article in the Seattle Times reported that Jay Allard's new pet project is called Argo, and will feature Wi-Fi capability, and will be more than just an MP3 player. Citing that old tattletale, a source close to the project, the author went even as far as to say it will compete on the portable gaming market with Sony and Nintendo. But just a few days after the report from the Pacific Northwest, tech blog Engadget talked with a few sources of their own and dug up these tasty nuggets. The handheld will be called Zune, Z-U-N-E, and it will feature Wi-Fi capability, but not for what you think. According to Engadget, the unit will support wireless song transfer. But the question you all want to know is, will it play games? The answer? Only Jay Allard knows. However, many are speculating that this is the first line of Argos or Zunes or whatever they're calling it that will be aimed at conquering the portable music market, not the portable gaming market. As for that sector, ask a skin in about 10 years.
Screw the future, I'm all about the past. Well, hanging on to my past, including those college days of moonlit nights and rooftops of Madison, Wisconsin, when I danced the nights away and the sun came up. But even before that, I was spending my lunch money in the arcades. And now I'm about to spend my whole paycheck on some of those same games, all over again. Microsoft held an event in San Francisco to announce Xbox Live Arcade Wednesdays, which will see new games released over a marketplace each hump day. Unfortunately, the news was leaked over the internet earlier in the day, leading to a rather anticlimactic event. But you know what was good? Well, for me, not for him. Open bar! The first game on the promo, Frogger, was released on Wednesday, with an all-new Cloning Clyde to come out next week, and Galaga the week after, and the long-awaited Street Fighter II Hyper Fighting on August 2nd, and Pac-Man on August 9th. Most old-school classics will cost gamers a 5-spot, but the newer games and Street Fighter will cost you $10. As for after the initial 5-game run, Microsoft reps would not guarantee a game each Wednesday, but did promise to have at least 50 Xbox Live Arcade titles by the end of the year.
It's time for a little controversy. No, get that graphic out of there. That was last week. Brendan isn't even in the studio. Last week we talked about the PSP ad campaign in the Netherlands that ruffled some feathers all over the globe. The ads were for a new ceramic white PSP model and showed a woman with white skin in what appeared to be a bit of a tussle with a woman with dark skin. Some, including a chapter of the NAACP and Leland Yee, opposed them, calling them racist. Well, Sony is calling them a done deal as the company has pulled the ads. In a public apology, Sony said that they will be more sensitive in the future and their campaign imagery and consider the global market.
Heartwarming tale from the heartland. This week saw a couple of crazy rumors come out of Hollywood. First up was that the Sultan of Strange himself, director Tim Burton, would direct a film version of the beloved 1998 game Grim Fandango. The news allegedly springs from an interview with obscure blog The Movie Center that supposedly came from Burton, in which he said that he'd start on Fandango after he finished his current project, Sweeney Todd. The problem is that this interview was actually a collection of old quotes from other press outlets. So old, in fact, they don't mention the project Burton currently has in pre-production, believe it or not, with Jim Carrey. So we're skeptical but hopeful on this one. In other game movie news, a single line on Dark Horizons sent waves around the world. On Tuesday, the Australian film blog said that the latest rumors have Denzel Washington as a favorite for the Master Chief. And that's all it said, meaning it could have just been pulled out of thin air. However, fact is, Denzel did actually spend several days in New Zealand in June lobbying Peter Jackson, Halo's executive producer, in person to create the special effects for his next film. But was that all they talked about? Fact is, we just don't know. But it's hard to believe that the glamorous Glamourpuss Washington would agree to spend an entire shoot inside the Master Chief's power armor. But if he was cast, Wouldn't that be controversial? All right, no. Brendan isn't here. Stop with it, Brendan. No more Brendan, please. And speaking of Brendan, our fearless colleague has the latest headlines from the GameSpot news disc. Brendan?
Thanks, guys. The late breaking news this week comes out of Electronic Arts' summer press event. It turns out that Team Fortress 2, once thought dead and gone, along with Prey and Duke Nukem Forever, is going to come out later this year, and it's going to come out in all versions of Half-Life Episode 2. And that's not just the boxed retail and direct download ones over Valve's Steam service. That's going to include the newly announced Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 versions as well. And since it wouldn't make much sense for the console users to jump in the middle of the story, the Xbox 360 and PS3 versions of Episode 2 will also include Half-Life Episode 1 and Half-Life 2 and a new game called Portal and a magic pony. Now, the other big news this week is that NPD has released their sales figures for June. And shockingly enough, with all the talk of the industry going through a transitional year and doldrums and down sales, sales were actually up 15% for game software for the month over last June. In June, U.S. retailers racked up over $444 million in U.S. software sales and another $400 million in hardware, thanks in large part to the launch of the DS Lite. That launch happened June 11th, and just between then and the end of the month, they sold nearly 600,000 units of the system. Sales figures overall, both hardware and software, were up nearly 25% for the month, indicating that maybe the transitional phase might actually be over with a little sooner than people expected. And that's about it for the late breaking news this week, guys. Back to you.
Thanks, Brendan. You know, we should really unshackle him from his desk every once in a while. For more gaming news, like all the latest industry sales, details on Call of Duty 3, and the first word on God of War 3, head on over to news.gamespot.com. That's all we've got for the show this week, and you know what that means.
DDR time!